But I thought you might want a copy of this.
I certainly would.
All right, this is DS Drum RCS Essentials, or Rebel Custom Shop Essentials from Red Pack Drums. Of course, these drums are based on drums from DS Drum, a high quality manufacturer of drums, the Rebel Custom Shop series here, based in Italy. Very high quality drums, boutique drums, handmade drums, very expensive drums. Mamma mia! That's a spicy drum.
Yes, that's what a boy likes.
And of course, what Red Pack Drums are doing is bringing you these custom drum sounds, these very unique drum sounds, these very expensive drum sounds, and bringing them to you so you can use them in your own productions. So we'll scroll down here. You can see they're also working with VK drums and Zebra drums as well. These are official brand libraries, joint forces with the manufacturer. And another thing that sets these drums apart is they are production-ready sounds straight out of the box. So of course it runs here within Kontakt, either the full version of Kontakt or the free Kontakt player. Once you download, install, and authorize, you will find it under the Libraries tab right there. And there is your single instrument. Now the entire package is around 26 gigs or so fully installed, at least on Windows.
What do you do now?
So now let's tour the interface, and all of this is pretty straightforward and simple to figure out. So your DS Drum RCS Essentials will come with 3 different kits and 10 different snares, and you'll have a total of 12 different cymbals. We'll start over here on the dashboard. So basically, the dashboard is pretty bare, but what it's really created for is for you to quickly audition your presets. So click the play button right there in the middle. All right. If you don't like that sound, head back up to your presets up here. Now, if you don't know how to find your presets, it does show you over here under the dashboard. What it's saying is select the camera icon and then use the drop down. So just like every other Kontakt preset, which they call snapshots, make sure the camera icon is selected and use your drop down and choose from your presets. You can also just use the arrow keys right there to switch through your presets. And once you set up your own presets coming into the mixer, etc., just come back to your save icon, click there, and save your own presets. So getting back to the big play button in the middle, let's just switch a kit real quick. Let that load up and audition it. All right. If I don't like that, again, go to something else. And once you find something you like, you're ready to start playing. So let's go back to our metal kit right there. Very good. You also have your hit strength slider right here. More subtle or more powerful. And you'll see that same slider on several different pages. You can also automate that if you want. You'll also notice that the keyboard keys are color coded. And whenever you hover over them down here in the information section, you'll see exactly what they are triggering. Now, of course, that's provided you have your info turned on. So come up here, make sure info is checked. And as long as it is checked, you'll see what everything is. There's your kick, snare, floor toms, etc., etc. All right, so that is your dashboard. Let's move on to the MIDI section. So over here, of course, is where you assign your MIDI or your MIDI maps. So if you're playing with an electric drum kit, for example, or you're using some different MIDI, you can always set that up so everything is triggered properly. And they also have some included maps over here under maps. Just go down to load map. So for example, if you have some general MIDI, drum MIDI, you can just choose the GM, and that will set that to the general MIDI setting.
They'll take days to analyze and compute.
I think you will find these figures are correct.
Of course, your keys update down here as well. You have MIDI from maybe Superior Drummer 2, something like that, or maybe you have a Roland E kit. You can just select that and it will be set up for you to play on your actual E kit. Of course, you can also set up your own maps as well, a couple different ways. Of course, the easiest way would be to, especially if you're using like an electronic drum kit, the easiest way would be to use the MIDI Learn. In that case, just click the name and hit a key or hit a pad. You can have up to 2 different keys, notes for each trigger. So if I just want one key, one note to trigger something, I can hit it twice. There we go. And the MIDI learn will automatically go off. Of course, if instead I want to have a couple different triggers for that, I can hit 2 different notes and then trigger them, either on your drum kit or your keyboard, or even in your MIDI. Okay, so again, keep in mind if you have grooves, you have other MIDI that you're playing back that is programmed for general MIDI or something, and it's not sounding right, before you freak out, just head in here, change your MIDI map, and see if it works then. So of course you can also change these notes manually. Just click on them and choose whatever note you want to trigger that slot. Again, up to 2 different triggers per item. Just make sure that after you set up your MIDI map for your eDrum kit or for just the way you like to play or for some MIDI or something, make sure you go ahead and save that. So I could save this to say custom 2 if I wanted to. Then if I switch it, I can always come back to custom 2 and I have my custom map right there. All right, so pretty simple stuff if you've ever dealt with MIDI maps before. You also have a built-in humanize function, so it sounds more human. And you have an auto rim shot, and you can set the MIDI number for that where it will automatically trigger. So as far as a MIDI map goes, it really has everything you need to set up your triggers exactly how you want them. All right, move on to the grooves section. So this does come with some grooves, not a bunch, but it does come with some. Head in here, and I'll double click to load that, and then play it right here. Double click another one. Grab this one here, maybe. Side stick groove. All right. Head through your folders here. Let's grab this one, double click it, then come in here. All right, that's kind of cool. Now, if you like something, you can then drag it out into your DAW, and you don't drag it out from the actual MIDI. Instead, you drag it out right here. So just grab this and boom, there is your MIDI. Then of course, I'll double click to load up another MIDI pattern. And if you like that, you can drag that out and build up your track that way. Now you can import more MIDI directly into DS Drum if you want. You don't really need to, since you can always just drag it in from your file system. But for those who want to know how this is done, real quick, we'll go over it here. So the first thing to do if you want more MIDI actually within DS Drum is head into wherever you have DS Drum installed. So I have mine installed here. We'll find DS Drum, right there it is, and come to your MIDI files. Okay, want that folder. Then I'll navigate to some other MIDI packs that I might have. So we'll just use this MIDI from Ugrotone, maybe the Gent-tastic or something like that. And I'll just copy this folder here right into the DS Drum MIDI files. Okay, you're not going to see anything yet. Let me close this down first. And then I'll reopen it, and then I'll come back to grooves, and what do you know, right there is the MIDI that we just imported. So double click that, and I can then play it back. All right. Now I happen to know that this MIDI is general MIDI. So again, what we just covered in the MIDI section, if it doesn't sound right, I'll come back here and switch my map to general MIDI. There we go. Okay. Same stuff, I can drag out this MIDI as well. Now again, you don't really need to import your MIDI directly into DS Drum unless you just like to work that way. For some reason, instead, you could just head into your file system. So I can just head into the file system here and grab the MIDI directly and just drag it in to my DAW. And of course that will play back, right? Or depending on your DAW, if you have a nice built-in browser like we do here in Studio One, I could just head over to the files and I could actually audition my MIDI very quickly without needing to import anything into DS Drum, right? And then of course, drag it in and build up my track that way. Or of course, you can play in your own MIDI as well. All right, so that is your grooves section. Let's go ahead and skip over the mixer for now and head over here to the drums. So over here, we can choose between our 3 different kits. Just click the names. We'll load them up quickly right there. You can also switch out individual drums by clicking right here in the middle and switching them out to, whatever you want. So this is our floor tom. switch that up, customize the entire kit. You can see what they were tuned to here as well. And of course, customize your kit however you want, or again, just choose the full kit right there. You also have tuning over here, and this is not digital tuning. They actually recorded these drums in 3 different tunings. So things are actually going to sound very natural whenever you use this, this tuner here. You can actually see more samples are loaded whenever I change the tuning there. Very cool. Change that tuning again. Go to the Koto, Maple Spruce. And then you have, stop that for now. Then you have the beater that you want to use for your kick. So quickly audition it. I kind of like wood for the enhanced attack. There we go. So that is your drums section. Head over to the snares section, and over here we have 10 different snares to choose from. Again, we can audition them by clicking the play button. Really great snares in here, and that same familiar tuning. So change that around. Of course, it's going to sound different. You know, your tuning will sound drastically different depending on the snare that you're on. Of course, you can play back as you're checking these out. That's a great snare right there. Love it. Go to this mahogany. Try a low tuning on that. Too low for me. Too high for me. Go over here. It's pretty cool. Almost sounds like a piccolo like that. So again, just audition your sounds and choose the one that you want. And since these samples are, production ready, once you choose your drums, choose your snare, you're pretty much ready to go. All right, so that is your snares section. Let's head over to the cymbals section. We have 6 different cymbals. Again, audition them with the play button. You can also switch those out with your drop down right here. So you have 2 choices per slot. I want to change this to a 12-inch splash. Then I can customize it however I want. Maybe a 15-inch for our left crash. Change out your hi-hats, your ride, your right crash, and your china, of course. So 16-inch there. Let's go to an 18-inch.
Sounds good.
So let's head over to the mixer now. And this mixer is pretty straightforward and very simple to figure out. So we have an all tab, a close tab for the close mics, overhead tab for the overheads, room, character, squash, and beef. So with all of these tabs, you can really get in there and customize, the sound of each drum of each microphone. And from the all tab, you can just adjust everything. So pull out the kick, adjust the overall level of the snare, your toms, each cymbal. Then you have all the cymbals right here. Just pull those out. Your overheads, and then your room mics. Okay, so we'll dive into our close mics, and everything you see here is going to apply to your other tabs as well. So here in the close mics, we'll start with maybe the kick. In this case, we have 2 different mics. You have mutes and solos for everything. You have a phase switch or polarity switch for everything as well. You have pan knobs, so of course pan things around in space. You also have EQ and effects built into each and every channel. So you can really customize this however you want. So there's the kick, for example. I can solo just this kick mic, adjust the overall level or the balance of that. And then we have a kick out mic right here. And then again, adjust the overall level of that. And I can EQ just the kick out mic. And the way the EQ works is pretty straightforward. Again, choose your frequency, your center frequency with your diamond, and then adjust the overall gain. You can switch the type of band right here. You can switch it to a bell right there in that case. Again, same thing for your high mid. If I want to target around, say 1K, set that around 1K. Adjust your Q, which is the bandwidth or how many frequencies are going to be affected. and then the overall gain of that. Am I adding some in? Am I cutting some out? Put more in there. All right, so I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to use an EQ, so we don't need to spend a lot of time on this. You can also bypass the EQ right here, and you also have a high pass filter right there as well, and it's got a resonance feature in there as well. Turn it on there. Down here. All right. Okay, so that is your EQ. Again, every single channel in your close, look at that, your overheads, your room, your character, your squash, you can get in there. Again, you can get in there, you can customize the sound of each and every drum. You also have, again, effects. So let's go to our snare here. We have a snare mic and a snare bottom mic in this case. So I'll just solo just the snare mic right there. Go to the effects, and you're going to have a transient designer, tape, parallel compression, and reverb. You can turn these off by clicking the green or white button right there. Of course, green means that it's on. So transient designer, do you want things to hit harder? You want more sustain on those? Less sustain on that. Again, just customizing the sound of each drum, some tape saturation in there. Make it a little bit warmer. And then parallel compression, it's great to have this built in. You use parallel compression a lot on drums to really make them pop. And we can just dial in that amount with these two sliders. And then of course you have reverb, which you can turn on or off, dial in the amount that you want. You have plate and room that you can dial in there. Okay. And then below the EQ and effects, of course, you have your pan knobs. Everybody knows, how those work. But you also have some different options here for your volume. You see, as I click this, you can choose volume, gate, and pitch. So come over to my kick here, maybe go to pitch. Let me solo that. So this would be a digital pitch here, unlike the tuning. So again, this applies to every channel here. I'm going to control click to set that back to the center. And you also have a gate. So you have your attack, decay, and a hold. So if you want to shorten the tone of something, for example, you don't want it to ring out too far, you have a gate built in, again, for every single channel in here. And you also have, depending on the mic, you also have a spread control. Jack it up just so we can hear it. All right, head back to the spread, and it does exactly what it says. You can spread it out. Makes it more stereo. So again, total control with this mixer for each and every drum, cymbal, etc., etc.
You think I'm crazy, all of you. Well, I'm not. Do you understand? Everything I said is true. I saw it with my own eyes. Give me a hand up. Now let me go. Let me go.
All right, let's head over to the overheads. We don't really need to go into much over here because it's the same stuff. In this case, though, it's just the overhead mics. Or come to the rooms, and it's just the room mics. So again, you just balance everything out to craft the sound that you want. Do you want a more close mic'd sound? Do you want a more roomy sound? That is totally up to you. And again, you have your overall controls for those over here as well. So do I want my kick? Do I want a lot of my kick in the overheads? Or would I prefer to not really have much kick at all in the overheads and have a much more close mic'd sound? Again, totally up to you. Head over to the room mics, same stuff. Do I want a lot of room mics in my kick sound? Let me pull that up. Or a more close mic'd sound. And then leave the room mics for maybe things like toms. And you could do your cymbals in there as well. Same thing for your overheads. You might want to leave those for your cymbals and kind of pull everything else down. Again, just depending on the sound that you want. You also have the same stuff in here, guys. Click on your volume. You have spread for each of these things in here as well. Again, you have your gate, your pitch, and your volume, and EQ, and effects. Okay, so you can really craft everything or anything that you want here in your DS drum. Back to the room. We already know how this works because it's all the same. Over to the character. So character does exactly what it says. It adds a bit of character to your sound. So currently everything is muted, and Red Pack drums suggest that you mute any microphone that you're not using because it will save you some CPU power. So let's just solo just that character mic. All right. Again, you're just balancing things out. Dial in the amount that you want for each drum. Sounds kind of cool. Then you have a squash channel, which is a very compressed channel. You can dial some of that in. We'll just solo that kick. That is very compressed. So we can add some more power to our sound if we want. Or if it's too much, that's a bit too much. Just blend it in nicely. All right. Then you also have a beef channel, and the beef channel adds in some beef or some low end, right? Solo that. You can hear what that adds in. Again, just adjust it per channel to whatever you prefer. Maybe check out the snare. Adds a bit of low end to that snare. And same stuff for your toms. Some of that low end into that. Then hear it all together, of course. Too much low end there. Very cool. Of course, you have your pan knobs here, EQ here, effects here. And just again, I want to reiterate, this is per channel or per, even per tab. So that means if I wanted to have my character mics for whatever reason panned all of them to the right, I can do that. Then I can have my squash mics all panned to the left, right? And you can see that. I could have my room, the EQ for toms that are in the room, set to whatever setting I want. Then I can have a completely different setting for the EQ, for the overheads, completely different settings for the effects, for the overheads, for the room, etc., etc. Okay, so total control with this mixer in here.
You see, Doctor, we have arranged for everything.
Now, real quick, I'll cover multiple outputs for DS Drum for those who like to output each drum to actual channels in their DAW and then mix with their own plugins. You can do that if you want, even though these sounds are already pretty much perfect and ready to go. If you want, you can do that. So of course, head to your mixer and you can set up different outputs, by the way, for each of these different tabs. So, you could put all of your kicks out on the same channel so they could all be on channel 2. Or if you want to get crazy, you could put the close mic kicks on channel 2. You could put the overhead kicks on channel 3. You could put the room kicks on channel 4. You can really get as crazy as you want. But we'll go here for the close mics. And to set up your multiple outputs or your individual outputs, come down to the bottom of the mixer and just click where it says output and then choose from an output. Now, you have to have this set up first. So if you don't know, head up here, click this button, come to outputs. And again, this has to be set up first. If it's not set up first, you're not going to see the outputs within DS Drum. Okay, if you don't know how to set that up, real quick, click the plus button. And then you want to choose the quantity of tracks. So that's the actual number of tracks. You're probably going to want at least 14. Of course, you can do more, you can do less, depending on how you want to route things. And then the number of channels, and that's the number of channels per track. Sounds kind of confusing. It just means, 2 means a stereo track, 1 would mean a mono track, and of course above that is above stereo. So you'll probably use, generally in Kontakt, we're using stereo tracks. So you'll probably use 2 there for your number of channels, and then the quantity of tracks, again, probably at least 14. But I already have mine set up down here. And once you have those tracks set up, you can also name them if you wish. So I could call this, snares, kicks, etc., etc. All right, head back up here to my kick, use this. Now I'll put this out to my kicks channel, which used to be called ST2. So put that out to the kicks channel. I'll also take the kick out from my close mics and also put that into the kicks. Again, I could put that on a separate channel if I wanted, but I don't want to in this case. So now when I trigger that kick, we're still hearing some kick coming out of the default ST1, but that's because, our overheads, our room, our character, our squash, our beef, those all have kick in them as well. Okay. But we're not really hearing the close mic kick channel, and that's because you have to set that up within your DAW. Now, however you do that in your DAW is for you to figure out. In Studio One, it's super easy to do. So just head up here, activate that track right there, and guess what? Boom, now I have a separate, let's show it here. Now I have a separate track for my kicks, or at least for the close kicks right here. Okay, so just that. And then I'm free to put whatever plugins I want that I own on each individual drum track and mix the way you would if you had recorded the drums yourself. Okay, so just repeat this however you want. If I wanted my snares on maybe ST4, put both of those on there. Same stuff here. I need to make sure I activate that track there in my DAW, so that way. So just the close. So then that's just the close snare. Okay. Again, you can spread this out as much as you want, or you can put all your snares on the same track. So now we're in the overheads, and that means I could split these out to 4 as well. Or if I really wanted to split them out, I could put them on 5. Then I could come to the room. I could put this snare on 6, and I could come to the character, etc., etc. You get the idea. And then just make sure I have those tracks activated in my DAW, so I'll actually hear them. As you can see, they're all right there now. And then, of course, put whatever plugins you want on each individual track.
Where are the switches that control the total that flaps area? I said, where are they?
All right, so that is a full overview of the interface here and how to use it of Drum RCS Essentials. Again, pretty simple to figure out interface with a lot of features packed into this one drum library. So now what do you say we go through some of these presets and check out how they sound?
Say, that sounds good.
So that is DS Drum RCS Essentials, or Rebel Custom Shop Essentials from Red Pack Drums. Great sounding drums, production ready drums, unique drums, expensive drums right in your DAW. So if you want to pick these up for yourself, head right over here. Of course, we'll have the link in the description below. And you can also head over to the Red Pack Drums YouTube page and watch their full official walkthrough as well. But if you want to pick it up for yourself, head right over here and buy it now. If you want those production ready sounds, those custom production ready sounds in your DAW, get them right now or you're a loser.
Full of all the nerve.
That's not true. But check them out because they are really great sounding drum samples that are easy to use, a lot of features within. You're a loser.
Growing up emotionally is much the same. Different parts of our personalities grow at different rates. Some of us never grow up entirely.
A lot of great features within the interface. And again, they sound great. And that's, of course, the most important part is they sound really fantastic and they're simple to use. You're not spending all your time mixing things, doing the same things that you do. Because whenever you're mixing drums, a lot of the things you do is the same stuff. You're doing the same stuff over and over and over. So they've taken out that part of having to do the same preparation on raw drums that you have to do every single time. And of course, you're free to mix however you want, either with the included effects, the included EQ and all of the effects, or of course, as I showed, you can output individual outputs for each drum for each channel, by the way. Okay. A lot of customization in here. Output all of that to separate tracks within your DAW and mix with your own plugins to your heart's content. All right, guys? So that is DS Drum RCS Essentials from Red Pack Drums.
But I thought you might want a copy of this.
I certainly would.